You are standing at a sacred turning point. What once felt crowded, confusing, or draining in your spirit is now being cleared by divine design. God is not punishing you, He is protecting you. Your spiritual space was never meant to be shared with voices that distort your calling or delay your growth. The separation you feel is holy. The silence you notice is intentional. Heaven is reclaiming what was always consecrated for purpose, clarity, and power. This is why certain connections are loosening, especially the one marked by J. God is restoring alignment, peace, and authority in your inner world. What He is removing cannot follow you into what He is building. Chosen one, your spiritual space is not ordinary, and it was never meant to be treated casually. It is sacred ground, carefully designed by God as the place where His voice meets your spirit, where your identity is formed, and where your assignment is refined. When God begins to reclaim this space, it is because something holy has been encroached upon. Spiritual space is not just about emotions or thoughts. It is the inner sanctuary where discernment lives, where peace governs, and where divine direction flows. When that space is disturbed, you feel it deeply, even if you cannot immediately explain it. You sense heaviness instead of freedom, confusion instead of clarity, and resistance where there should be rest. God never allows interference in your spiritual space without reason, and He never removes someone without purpose. When a person repeatedly brings doubt into your faith, noise into your silence, or pressure into your obedience, it becomes a spiritual issue, not just a relational one. Sacred space demands reverence. Anything that dishonors it, even subtly, becomes misaligned with God's intention for your life. This is why God steps in, not to punish you, but to preserve what He planted inside you before others ever had access. Your spiritual space is where transformation happens quietly. It is where God corrects you, strengthens you, and prepares you for battles you do not yet see. When the wrong presence occupies that space, it interrupts the process. You may notice that prayer feels forced, joy feels distant, or your spiritual sensitivity feels dulled. These are not random feelings. They are signals that your sacred ground has been compromised. God, as a loving protector, does not ignore these signals. He responds by reclaiming what belongs to Him. Reclaiming your spiritual space often looks like discomfort before it looks like peace. God may create distance where you tried to create harmony. He may allow silence where you wanted explanation. This is because sacred things are not negotiated, they are guarded. When God sets boundaries for your soul, He does it with eternal vision, not temporary emotion. He sees how certain energies, conversations, and attachments slowly erode your spiritual authority. What feels familiar to you may be dangerous to your destiny. Chosen one, understand this clearly. Not everyone who enters your life understands the holiness of your calling. Some step onto sacred ground without removing their shoes, carrying pride, insecurity, or hidden intentions. Over time, this contaminates the atmosphere. God does not wait until total damage is done. He intervenes early, sometimes abruptly, because He values the oil on your life more than the comfort of unhealthy connections. When God reclaims your spiritual space, He is restoring order. Peace begins to return in waves. Your thoughts slow down. Your spirit feels lighter. You begin to recognize how much noise you were tolerating in the name of love, loyalty, or familiarity. Sacred space teaches you discernment. It reminds you that access to you is a privilege, not a right. God never called you to be available to everyone, especially not to those who misuse your light. This reclaiming also realigns your identity. You remember who you are without external influence shaping your decisions. You reconnect with God without interruption. Your confidence returns, not because circumstances changed, but because alignment was restored. Sacred space empowers you to hear God clearly and obey Him fully. That clarity is dangerous to anything that thrives on confusion. God reclaims your spiritual space because your next level requires purity of atmosphere. New blessings cannot grow in contaminated soil. New assignments cannot be revealed in crowded rooms. God clears your inner sanctuary so He can speak without competition. This is not isolation, it is consecration. It is the process of setting you apart again, reminding you that you were chosen for depth, not distraction. Do not mourn what God removes from your sacred space. Honor it. Trust that anything unable to respect your spiritual ground was never meant to remain. God is not taking something away from you. He is giving you yourself back, restored, protected, and ready for what comes next, chosen one. It is important for you to understand the difference between access and assignment, because confusing the two can delay your destiny. God allows many people to cross your path, but only a few are divinely assigned to walk with you long-term. Access is temporary permission. Assignment is eternal alignment. Jay was allowed near you for a season, not because they were meant to stay, but because there was something to be revealed, refined, or learned within you. God often uses limited access to expose hidden patterns, strengthen discernment, and awaken boundaries you did not know you needed. When someone has access without assignment, they benefit from your presence without contributing to your purpose. They receive your energy, your compassion, your insight, and sometimes even your prayers, but they cannot move with you into deeper levels of calling. This creates imbalance. Over time, you may notice that you are pouring more than you are receiving, explaining yourself more than being understood, and shrinking your truth to maintain connection. These are signs that the relationship is operating on access, not divine assignment. God never assigns someone to your destiny who consistently pulls you away from Him. Assignment aligns you closer to God, not farther from Him. If someone causes spiritual distraction, dulls your obedience, or subtly competes with God's voice in your life, they are out of position. Jay may have felt familiar, intense, or even significant, but significance does not equal assignment. Some people feel important because they trigger growth through friction, not because they are meant to stay. Access without assignment often leads to entitlement. The person begins to assume they deserve space in your life simply because they have been there. They may resist your growth, question your boundaries, or react negatively when you change. This is because your elevation threatens their comfort. Assigned connections celebrate your growth. Unassigned ones feel exposed by it. God sees this long before you do, and that is why He intervenes. Chosen one. God revokes access when it becomes misuse. When someone repeatedly mishandles your trust, disrespects your spiritual sensitivity, or treats your calling casually, heaven takes notice. God is not impressed by longevity, He is moved by alignment. Time spent together does not override purpose. Just because someone was present during one chapter does not mean they are qualified for the next. This separation is not about labeling J as evil or unworthy. It is about recognizing incompatibility at the spiritual level. Two people can be good individuals and still be wrong for each other's assignment. God separates to prevent contamination of calling. Oil and water cannot mix, no matter how close the containers are placed. When God begins to lift you, anyone without the capacity to rise spiritually will feel uncomfortable holding on. You may have tried to justify the connection by focusing on potential. But God deals in truth, not potential. Assignment is based on who someone is willing to become, not who they promise to be. God removes people who refuse to grow with you, because your destiny cannot be paused while someone decides whether they want to mature. When access is removed, it can feel sudden or confusing. You may wonder why conversations no longer flow, why distance feels natural, or why your spirit no longer resonates with their presence. This is not rejection. It is redirection. God is closing doors you were too loyal to close yourself. He does this to protect you from emotional entanglements that drain spiritual strength. Chosen one, access ends when purpose shifts. The version of you God is revealing now requires companions who understand sacrifice, obedience, and spiritual depth. J was never assigned to this level. Keeping them close would require you to compromise clarity, delay obedience, or mute conviction. God loves you too much to allow that. Release without guilt. Honor the role they played, but do not force continuation where God has ended the assignment. Access was granted, lessons were learned, and now grace is removing what no longer fits. God is making room for connections that are aligned, supportive, and divinely appointed. Trust Him. What He removes was never meant to follow you where you are going. Chosen one. Separation is one of the most misunderstood acts of God, yet it is one of His greatest expressions of love. When God steps in to create distance between you and someone, it is not because He wants to wound you, but because He intends to shield you. Divine protection rarely looks gentle at first. It often arrives as silence, distance, unanswered messages, broken patterns, or an unexplainable loss of desire to keep forcing what once felt important. This is how God rescues without chaos. He quietly moves you out of harm's reach before you fully realize the danger you were in. Many people believe protection only applies to visible threats, but God is more concerned with what slowly erodes your spirit. Prolonged exposure to the wrong influence can weaken discernment, normalize compromise, and make spiritual exhaustion feel ordinary. God separates you to interrupt that cycle. What you tolerated because of love, loyalty, or history, God removes because of destiny. He sees the long-term impact of short-term attachments. Separation becomes necessary when connection begins to cost you peace. If being close to someone consistently triggers anxiety, self-doubt, or spiritual heaviness, that is not accidental. Your spirit recognizes misalignment before your mind accepts it. God listens to your spirit. When someone's presence interferes with your ability to pray freely, hear clearly, or obey confidently, heaven intervenes. This is not rejection, it is rescue. Chosen one, divine protection often arrives disguised as loss. You may grieve what could have been, what you hoped would change, or what you invested emotionally. But God is not removing what is good for you. He is removing what is draining you. Protection sometimes hurts because it pulls you away from what feels familiar. Familiarity, however, is not safety. Many traps are built from comfort, not fear. God separates you because He knows what lies ahead. There are battles you cannot fight while carrying emotional weight that does not belong to you. There are assignments that require focus, strength, and clarity. God lightens your load by removing people who would complicate the journey. This is strategic mercy. You are being protected from distractions that would delay preparation. Separation also protects your identity. Prolonged exposure to someone who misunderstands, minimizes, or competes with your calling can slowly distort how you see yourself. You may begin to question your instincts, doubt your worth, or silence your truth to maintain peace. God refuses to let your identity erode in the presence of someone who cannot honor it. He pulls you back into alignment so you remember who you are without interference. There is also protection in preventing future damage. God often separates you before resentment takes root. If a misaligned connection continued, it could end in bitterness, betrayal, or spiritual burnout. God ends it early to preserve your heart. He would rather you feel temporary sadness than permanent damage. This is the kindness of God at work behind the scenes. Chosen one, do not confuse separation with punishment. God is not angry with you. He is attentive to you. He sees your effort, your patience, and your desire to do the right thing. When you struggle to let go, He steps in and does what love cannot. He creates distance where emotion would keep you stuck. This is grace, not cruelty. After separation, protection becomes visible. You begin to sleep better. Your prayers feel lighter. Your mind becomes quieter. The emotional tension you once carried dissolves, and you realize how much weight you were bearing unnecessarily. Clarity replaces confusion. Peace replaces pressure. These are signs that God's hand was involved. Separation also teaches discernment. You become more aware of what your spirit can and cannot tolerate. You learn that love does not require access, and loyalty does not require self-betrayal. God uses separation to sharpen your spiritual awareness so you do not repeat the same patterns in future seasons. Trust the process, chosen one. God is not isolating you, He is insulating you. He is covering you from influences that would hinder growth, delay obedience, or dilute purpose. What feels like an ending is actually protection in motion. Stay still. Stay faithful. What God removes cannot harm you anymore, and what He is preparing will meet you in peace, not confusion. Chosen one, When God clears your spiritual space, clarity is not something you chase. It is something that returns naturally. Confusion was never your true state. It was a symptom of overcrowding. Too many voices, too many emotional entanglements, and too much spiritual noise can dull even the strongest discernment. When God removes the wrong presence, especially one that consistently pulled at your focus or emotions, the fog begins to lift. You start to recognize how much mental energy was being spent managing a connection that God never intended to carry forward. Clarity returns quietly at first. You may notice your thoughts slowing down, your reactions softening, and your inner dialogue becoming calmer. This is not coincidence. It is the result of alignment being restored. When your spiritual atmosphere is no longer disturbed, your intuition sharpens. You begin to sense what is right and what is wrong without overthinking it. Decisions that once felt heavy now feel obvious. This is how God speaks when there is no interference. Prayer becomes different when space is cleared. You no longer feel like you are forcing words or waiting for a response. Communication with God flows more freely because your spirit is not divided. Divided space creates divided focus. When the wrong presence occupied your inner world, part of your energy was always elsewhere, explaining, justifying, worrying, or hoping. Once God removes that distraction, your attention returns fully to Him. This is where clarity is born. Chosen one, interference does not always come in the form of open opposition. Sometimes it comes through emotional attachment, unresolved hope, or the need for validation. These subtle ties can cloud discernment just as much as conflict. God clears your space by removing not only the person, but the emotional residue they leave behind. This is why clarity does not return immediately for some. It unfolds as healing takes place. God is gentle, but He is thorough. As clarity returns, you begin to see past situations more accurately. What once confused you now makes sense. You recognize patterns you ignored, signs you dismissed, and boundaries you delayed. This is not to shame you, but to mature you. God reveals truth when your heart is ready to receive it without denial. Clarity is a gift that comes after obedience, not before it. You may also notice an increase in spiritual sensitivity. Your discernment becomes sharper, and you feel more aware of energy, intention, and atmosphere. You can sense when something is off without needing evidence. This is the result of a restored spiritual environment. When your space is clean, your spirit can detect subtle shifts that were previously drowned out by noise. Clarity also brings peace with the past. You stop replaying conversations, questioning decisions, or imagining alternate outcomes. The mental loops lose their grip because the emotional attachment has been released. God clears your space so your mind can rest. Rest is not laziness, it is a sign of trust. When clarity returns, striving ends. Chosen one, do not be surprised if your tolerance for chaos decreases. As clarity increases, so does your standard. You become less willing to entertain confusion, inconsistency, or emotional instability. This is growth, not pride. God raises your discernment so you do not re-invite what He removed. You learn to guard your peace without guilt. Clarity also strengthens obedience. When you hear God clearly, hesitation fades. You no longer need excessive confirmation because His voice stands out. The internal conflict that once delayed action dissolves. This is why the enemy fights for access to your spiritual space. Because clarity leads to movement, and movement leads to destiny. God restores clarity so you can see what is ahead, not just what is behind. Vision returns. Purpose becomes exciting again. The future feels possible instead of overwhelming. This is the reward of cleared space. God never removes without replacing. He replaces confusion with wisdom, heaviness with peace, and distraction with direction. Honor this clarity, chosen one. Protect it. Do not rush to fill empty space with noise or new attachments. Let God occupy what He reclaimed. The clearer your space, the stronger your discernment. The stronger your discernment, the safer your path. What God has removed no longer has power over you, and what He is revealing now will guide you forward in confidence and peace. Chosen one. When God reclaims your spiritual space, it is never an ending without intention. It is preparation for higher alignment. God does not clear space to leave it empty. He clears it to fill it with what can sustain the next level of your calling. Preparation often feels quiet, even uneventful, but it is in this stillness that the deepest work is done. God prepares you inwardly before He promotes you outwardly. What looks like separation on the surface is actually positioning in the spirit. Higher alignment requires a refined atmosphere. The next assignments God is bringing into your life demand greater discernment, stronger obedience, and deeper trust. You cannot carry old energies into new seasons. God removes familiar connections not because they are evil, but because they are incompatible with where you are going. Elevation changes requirements. What once fit no longer does. This is not loss, it is upgrading. During this preparation phase, God works on your sensitivity. You become more aware of His promptings, more responsive to conviction, and more alert to spiritual signals. Small compromises that once went unnoticed now feel heavy. This is evidence of growth. God sharpens your discernment so you can maintain alignment without constant correction. He is training you to move with precision. Higher alignment also reshapes your desires. You begin to want what God wants, not just what feels good. Your appetite for chaos, drama, and emotional intensity fades. You start valuing peace, consistency, and spiritual depth. This shift is intentional. God aligns your heart before He aligns your circumstances. What you desire determines what you attract. Chosen one, preparation often includes solitude. Not isolation, but intentional quiet, where God can speak without interruption. In this space, He reveals truths about yourself that could not surface while you were emotionally entangled with others. He heals patterns, corrects motives, and strengthens your identity. Solitude is not punishment, it is privilege. God invites those He trusts into deeper conversations. As alignment increases, so does responsibility. God prepares you to handle blessings without losing balance. He teaches you how to steward influence, favor, and authority without pride. This is why He removes relationships that would mishandle your growth. Not everyone can celebrate your elevation without trying to control it. God protects your future by filtering your circle now. Higher alignment also brings divine connections. When God removes misaligned relationships, He makes room for assigned ones. These connections feel different. They bring peace, not pressure. They support your obedience instead of questioning it. They align with your values, respect your boundaries, and encourage your growth. God does not replace quantity with quantity. He replaces confusion with clarity. You may notice that you become less available to things that once demanded your attention. This is not withdrawal. It is focus. God narrows your vision so you can move forward without distraction. The fewer voices you listen to, the clearer His becomes. This is the power of alignment. Chosen one, do not rush this season. Preparation cannot be hurried. If you move too quickly to fill the space God cleared, you risk misalignment. Allow God to establish new rhythms, habits, and disciplines in your life. What He builds now will support what He reveals later. Higher alignment also requires courage. You may outgrow environments, conversations, and expectations that once felt safe. Standing in alignment means standing alone at times, but God never leaves you unsupported. He becomes your anchor, your confirmation, and your reward. Trust that God knows what He is doing. Every removal, every delay, and every quiet moment is purposeful. He is not withholding, He is refining. What is coming requires a stronger version of you, one rooted in truth, grounded in peace, and aligned with heaven. Stay faithful in this preparation. Chosen one, the space God reclaimed is now holy ground again. He is about to introduce assignments, connections, and opportunities that match your growth. When alignment is complete, movement will be effortless. Doors will open without force, and you will step forward not confused, not burdened, but confident, knowing God Himself prepared the way.